Welcome back to Saratoga Saturdays with America's Best Racing. I'm Anita Marks. He's Jonathon Kinchen, and the day has arrived. It is the Travers Stakes day, and really one of the most exciting Saturdays up in Saratoga. JK, let's live vicariously through you. What has it been like this week leading up till today?
Well, it's always got a lot of buzz surrounding the Travers. You know, two of the biggest days of this meet, Whitney Day, Travers Day. Travers obviously being the biggest with the Midsummer Derby. You get these chances to see a lot of horses that we followed on the Kentucky Derby trail. You see these horses get to show up a little bit later in their years where some of the others might have caught up to some of the ones that were having success back in the spring. So there's the top three finishers of the Kentucky Derby are all in this race. You can't ask for any more than that.
It's going to be an exciting day. Just a reminder, NYRA BETS, make sure you log on, nairabets.com. You get a $200 credit, sign-up credit bonus with the with Toga 200. That's your code, Toga 200 for a $200 sign-up bonus. And no better day than to do it than today. And we've got a plethora of races. We have 5 races, grade 1 stake races that we're going to break down for you. So here we go. Let's start with race number 5, and post time is at 1:55. It's the Forego Stakes. It's 7 furlongs. It's on dirt. It's 4 years old and over, and some history in the making here, and that's with Jackie's Warrior. Please preview this race for us.
Yeah, Jackie's Warrior is just such an awesome racehorse. He's been consistent. He's won for 3 years in a row. He's won a grade 1 at Saratoga. No other horse has ever done that before, as long as this place has been around. So that's pretty cool. He, he's one of those horses where, from a horse player standpoint, he's the type of horse that you can lean on in multi-race bets by singling him. You know he's going to show up and run well. He's also the type of horse that some horse players, at least I have a couple of times, tried to get cute and beat him, and he's kind of stuffed me in a locker. He's just so consistent. His speed figures aren't always as fast as one might want them to be when you're looking at a horse who's going to be such a short price. But, man, he just shows up every time and runs his race. He's extremely, extremely hard to beat. I think he'll be hard to beat in here today. If you want to try to get cute or creative, I thought the one Baby Yoda is at least a little bit interesting. He likes it here at Saratoga. He's had some really fast races at Saratoga, and he ran well last time. He could improve a little bit. But, man, his style doesn't really work that well with Jackie's Warrior being drawn right outside of him.
By the way, we have some message board comments and questions that are popping up. One in particular is any impact from the weather. I know that we've got some rainstorms down here in New York. What was the weather like in Saratoga? Is that going to play a role at all on the track today?
Yeah, I mean, it rained a little bit yesterday. They're off the turf in the second race today. But I wouldn't, the track will be fast. I have no issues there. So I think you can just, prepare for the turf to be firm. Might have a tad bit of give to it, but I wouldn't think it'd be too much. A lot of times what people don't know is that the turf course gets watered basically every morning pretty intensely. So when it rains the day before, they just skip the watering, and they're basically in the same place they would have been if they watered it. So it's, I wouldn't worry about the weather at all.
That makes sense. All right, so we're going to fast forward all the way to race number 8, and this is where it really gets fun, and this is where you can play in that pick 4 that we're going to give you some good winners for. So it's the Allen Jerkins Memorial Stakes, 7 furlongs. It's on dirt. This is for 3-year-olds, and really the 6-horse Jack Christopher, it really is the horse to beat here.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be, boring here and give you Jackie's Warrior and then give you Jack Christopher, but they are probably 2 of the best sprinters in the country. I will say this about Jack Christopher. I thought he was the best 3-year-old in the country. I thought he was going to be able to handle the 2 turns, mile and 1/8 of the Haskell, and he didn't do that. And now he's cut back to 1 turn going 7 furlongs, where, in my opinion, his 7 furlong race in the Woody Stevens on Belmont Stakes Day was the most impressive performance we've seen from a 3-year-old, period. Now, it was around 1 turn, so it doesn't get the credit, because of this Derby-centric type of environment we find ourselves in North America. But, man, he is a brilliant, brilliant racehorse. And if he shows up and runs the race he ran on Belmont Day, these horses are all running for second. If you're looking for an alternative, the 1 Conager is a little bit interesting inside with some speed, possibly could try to wire them there. And I like the 4 Actuator. In full disclosure, I'm kind of close to the situation. I have A good friend of mine owns the horse, but that's just allowed me to kind of follow the journey of the horse, to understand who he is and understand why he's been in the spots he's been in. And I know that they've always kind of planned on doing this. They were going to run in the Indiana Derby, hope to win that, try to steal that purse going 2 turns. And regardless how he ran, they were planning on cutting back to the 7 furlongs of the Jerkens. So if for whatever reason Jack Christopher doesn't show up, which I think he probably will, I think the 4 actuator is interesting.
All right, we look at the race number 9. Post time is around 4:32 p.m. It's the personal Ensign Stakes, 9 furlongs. It's on dirt, fillies and mares, 4 years old and over. And some names here, Jonathon, that we've been talking about for the past month, right? Like Latruska, Malafat. So it looks like this is really a pretty competitive grouping here.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a 5-horse field, so I think some horse players, especially the grumpy ones, will complain about the field size. But it's got all of the pieces that you need. It's got a champion in Latruska whose game this can be. She's got a lot of speed. It's got search results, kind of the up-and-coming type. She's got a lot of speed as well. And it's arguable that 2 races back in the Ogden Phipps, where a lot of these horses all met up, search results ran 3rd, but ran the best race. Then you've got Clairiere and Malafat, who continue to bump heads with one another. Clairiere seeming to kind of show her superiority as of late by winning the last 2 matchups that they've had. And then Malafat, who is the Kentucky Oaks winner and a really talented horse in her own right. So there's a lot of different ways to go here. I'm going to go back with the old mare, Latruska. She's just so game. She tries so hard. She makes her own trip by running early. I don't think search results in her will hook up again. And I just think that Latruska kind of has had some time off since the Ogden Phipps to kind of hit the reset button. And I'm hopeful that she'll run much better here. She's going to be my top pick, Latruska will be, but I will have tickets, multi-race tickets with search results, and with Clairiere. I'm kind of over Malafat's thing for the time being. Just she hasn't really had an excuse in her last 2 starts against Clairiere, and Clairiere's beat her on the square. So I don't see what's different here in a couple of hours.
All right, race number 10, post time a little after 5 o'clock, 5:05 to be exact. It's the Sword Dancer Stakes, 12 furlongs. This will be run on the inner track, 4 years old and over. And this is one of the most open, I think, to pull the upset. I know that you're on Broome, but preview this race for us.
Yeah, in this older long distance turf division for the males in this country, we don't really have a standout. In the past, we've had horses like Bricks and Mortar who you could lean on heavily and single in these types of races, domestic spending. But we just don't have that at this time. It's kind of an open group. So when there is a Euro that comes over here, you got to give them a little bit more credit, a little bit more of an upgrade. And I think the 3 Broome is one of those horses. His horse, the race that he had here at Del Mar was extremely fast. In Europe, they're not as speed figure oriented as we are, right? Malafat or whoever runs 100 speed figure. I know how fast she ran and I can kind of compare her to her opposition. They don't do speed figures as much over there. So it can get a little bit tricky when you're trying to evaluate. I have heard that in a unofficial way, Broome can run about 100, 103 speed figure. If that's the case, Broome could be very tough to beat in here. I'll always fall for my buddy Channel Maker in here, just as kind of a little bit of a backup. He's such a game horse, runs out, gets on the front end, and likes to try to get loose. But the problem with him is he's got Tribuven in here, the 7, who also likes to go to the front end. So those 2 could kind of set it up for a closer. I'm over the Gufo thing. I used to be a fan of Gufo. The horse just always lets me down. And I said last time that I'd be filing divorce papers from Gufo if he didn't win. He didn't win, so I had to do that. And then Rock Emperor, I think, is a little bit interesting as an alternative. But for me, it's mostly about Broome in this spot.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Channel Maker, 8-1 right now, possibly to pull the upset. And then we've saved the best for last, and that's the Travers Stakes. Of course, it's race number 11. Post time will be at 5:44 p.m., 10 furlongs. It's on dirt. It's the best 3-year-olds, and we've been talking about them again for the last month. Epicenter, Rich Strike, obviously, who pulled the upset, of course, at the Kentucky Derby. Early voting, Cyberknife. These are just horses that we become so familiar with, and I can't wait to see this race go off. Preview this race for us. Who do you have winning this?
Yeah, look, Epicenter's been the most consistent 3-year-old. He was good back in April. He was good in May. He's been good, and And I think that one of the things to keep in mind about Epicenter is he's kind of, he's versatile. He can run forward. He can run from off the pace. He overcame adversity in the Jim Dandy. I thought he had the worst trip of the horses in the Jim Dandy, trying to close into that slow pace. And I just think he's the most consistent. And Steve Asmussen, who is a quiet guy a majority of the time, he's got this quiet confidence about him when it comes to Epicenter that when you talk to him, you can kind of feel that he feels like this horse is going to run a big race. So, but he's going to be a short price. So if you're looking for some alternatives, a couple that I'll give you is early voting in Arturius for Chad Brown. Early voting is a horse who won the Preakness, so it's not like he's some wise guy horse, but he's going to be a big price because he didn't run very well in the Jim Dandy. And I think what happened early in this meet was that horses and trainers weren't quite sure how deep the racetrack was, how tiring it was. And I think that some trainers had to make some adjustments on their training to make sure their horses were fit enough on this surface. And I think early voting might be one of those horses where kind of got caught off guard by the racetrack last time. And I think that he actually ran better than it looks on paper. So I'm thinking he might be okay as an alternative. I'll use him kind of underneath, maybe a little bit defensively in some of the picks. And then Arturius, the son of Arrogate. If you've never seen Arrogate's Travers, you can, after this is over, go to YouTube and watch that. It was outstanding. He won very impressively that day. So I think Arturius could be one of those horses that's improving right now and could take another step forward and try to get his picture taken and give Chad Brown his first Travers. My strongest opinion is I'm against the Derby winner, Rich Strike. When it comes to Derby winners, they're always going to be overbet moving forward because of the name recognition and the fact that they won the Kentucky Derby. Rich Strike got extremely fortunate on the day. He got a fast pace to close into, and he got a perfect trip. I just can't take him in this spot. I said it after the race. I didn't think he'd win another race in his career, and I'm going to stick to that.
Cyberknife, Zandon.
Zandon is a horse that it was my pick in the Derby. I've loved the horse, but he didn't have an excuse not to run by Epicenter in the Derby. And I thought he had a pretty good trip last time in the Jim Dandy, and Epicenter still beat him. So I just don't see a situation where Zandon turns the tables on him. Now, if Epicenter takes a step back, Zandon takes a step forward. I wouldn't throw Zandon out if you're playing multi-race bets, but I wouldn't use him equally to a horse like Epicenter.
Okay, so just to circle back and preview race number 5, Jackie's Warrior, and set to really make history, right? If this horse is to win, it'll be the 6th time. So who knows? Maybe a race will be named after Jackie's Warrior, of course, if it's victorious today. Then we put together a great pick 4 for you, starting with race number 8 with Jack Christopher, race number 9. Latruska, race number 10, Broom, and race number 11, which is the big race today, obviously the Travers Stakes, Epicenter. And also just want to remind you again, nairabets.com, log on. The code is TOGA200 for a $200 sign-up bonus to get you ready for all the action this afternoon. Any final thoughts, JK, before we sign off?
No, it's another beautiful day at Saratoga. The weather, I think I saw the high is going to be 78. So if you're around, definitely get out. If not, make sure you check us out. We're on Fox, cable bunny ears Fox, not FS1, not FS2, but Big Fox.
Well, I will be watching later on this afternoon. And everybody, we thank you for all of us here at America's Best Racing, ABR. We thank you for tuning in, and good luck at the track later on this afternoon.